We now move on to our next topic, which is Global to Rural, Learnings and Technology from Global to Rural India. I'd like to invite Geeta Rao. Geeta Rao has a Bachelor of Science, Masters in HR and Marketing, and Executive MBA program from IIM Bangalore, specialized in digital marketing for business growth. In life, she's a passionate entrepreneur, a mother, a homemaker, having excellence in all spheres and brimming with confidence to be a better version of herself each time, and has been the definition of life for Geeta Rao. A humble beginning with a vision of making it big in life resulted in acquiring rich experience in HR and marketing departments of mid and large-sized IT companies and other reputed central government organizations. Having more than a decade of experience, determined to follow her passion for marketing, she initiated and launched a couple of ventures to provide employment. Please put your hands together for Geeta Rao.
So good afternoon, everybody. So welcome to the session, second session of the day. So may I invite the panelists to the dais. It's my privilege and I'm honored to invite Ms. Usha Gopala Ratnam, ex-president SCORE organization from USA. Request everybody to put your hands together. Mr. Seelam Rajakshekhar Reddy, founder and MD, 24 Mantra. Welcome you on stage, sir. Dr. Jagat Shah, founder, Vibrant India. Mr. Ramasubramaniam Aruganti, director, Samanvaya Social Venture Private Limited. So I also invite Adya Chikoti from Czech Organic to share us the entrepreneurial journey. Please put our hands together. So young entrepreneurs should be invited and welcomed and supported from the platform like us, Cowe. Go for it.
Firstly, a very good afternoon to one and all present here, to our esteemed guests, our industry leaders and aspiring innovators. I am Adya Chekoti and I'm the Business Development Manager at Czech Organics and a proud daughter to Rajesh Chekoti and Kirti Chekoti. I'm here to tell you about the story of Czech Organics. So to begin with, we started as a humble farmer who cultivated noni, which is a superfruit. And we had buyback agreements with other farmers of our kind who were cultivating the same fruit. And over time, we ventured into organic business of organic vegetables, fruits, pulses, rice, and turmeric with a high value. And over time, we had our own set of challenges and setbacks, especially with manpower, because organic farming is not a very easy thing to do. And I think it was quite challenging for us to have the manpower work for us in a much organic way, because the farmers are more familiar with that of chemical farming. And that was a challenge. And apart from that, even marketing it to the people was a challenge, because not everybody were open to organic produce. And having said that, I think it's more of a niche market, I would say, because many people are not very much aware of the kind of benefits that organic products have. Then, as we were having our own setbacks, and we were trying to navigate our way out of it. Then COVID struck, which was a sudden shock to not just us, but I'm sure many other businesses of our time. And back then, I think we found the light in the end of the tunnel during the COVID time, especially when all our produce was going to waste. And then my mother came up with this idea of turning waste into value. And that is when we realized that there is so much potential in, as we've discussed in the previous panel, circular economy. So reduce, reuse, recycle, and reinvent the product, redesign the product. And that's what we did. We tried to make the most out of the waste that we had been generating from the produce, the organic produce that we had. Then we came up with organic wellness products, hair care and skin care, and even nutraceuticals, which has now become our USP, especially thanks to the noni fruit. I think it's a holy grail for all of us because of its amazing cellular properties that helps to heal on the cellular level, and I think that is one of the biggest USPs of our brand. And that is incorporated in every product that we manufacture. So that is one great thing that I would like to share with you all. And apart from that, we have grown organically, just as our products, through word of mouth marketing. And we've built over time a lot of trust, loyalty, and we've created superior customer value by offering and catering to their needs personally. We try to understand their needs and requirements personally, up close, and try to curate products in a much holistic, much organic way, and healing them with every product that we make. And talking about the growth aspect, we've come to a juncture where we aspire to expand our business across and beyond India, and we are already in the process. We have currently expanded into the US, the UK, parts of the UAE, and many more countries to come. And we are open for white labeling opportunities, and yeah, that's about the journey so far, and I wish as a next generation that I would be able to take this over to the next level and carry on the vision of my parents in a much sustainable, much responsible way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adhya. So now moving on to the panel discussion, it's my pleasure to introduce our panelist of today. So Ms. Usha Gopalaratnam is a dynamic leader with 30 plus years in global marketing, specializing in commercialization, strategy, and business growth. Spent 3 decades at DuPont, including 2 expatriate assignments in Asia, holds a master's in engineering and executive MBA, co-authored patents leading to consulting roles for mid-sized businesses and international life science startups. Business coach for healthcare startups, helping commercialize innovations in new applications and markets. Focuses on accelerating global market entry. Got more than 10 plus years mentoring entrepreneurs from concept to exit through SCORE, a national nonprofit. As state chapter president, collaborated with local governments and officials to enhance entrepreneurship-focused legislation and community growth. Welcome, ma'am. So our next panelist is Mr. Seelam Rajshekhar Reddy, founder and MD 24 Mantra. Is the founder and managing director of Shrestha Natural Bioproducts Private Limited, the leader in organic food business in India. Working closely with farmers, he saw firsthand the havoc chemical wreaked on soil, food chain, and people. This seeded the idea of creating a business which is based on sustainability of livelihoods, lifestyles, and environment. Thus, Shrestha was born in 2004. Shrestha is an integrated organic food company involved in farming, research and development, processing, domestic market, and exports. Shrestha currently works with over 35,000 smallholder farmers on 2 lakh acres across 12 states in India. Shrestha produces and markets over 150 organic food products under 24 Mantra brand in India, Europe, North America, North Africa, Middle East, Near East, and Far East. Mr. Seelam is the founder chairman of Association of Indian Organic Industry, member of various Indus Association task forces, government committees, and an invited speaker at national and international forums too. Welcome you. So our next speaker is Dr. Jagat Shah, a multipreneur with 8 businesses, has 27 plus years of experience in international trade, market research, and business mentoring. He has trained 6,200 companies in export strategies and advises overseas governments' activities. As a mentor on road, he travels globally, guiding businesses on market entry and growth while also teaching at management schools in India and abroad. His experience spans diverse industries, including engineering, agriculture, art and craft, food businesses, renewable energy, and tourism. His current initiatives that he's working on is providing field inputs on key Indian initiatives such as Make in India, Startup India, Skill India, and Digital India to help India become developed nation by 2047. Redeploying retired individuals into productive work, transforming 112 villages into smart villages in 1,000 days under a World Bank funded project. One of his most impactful projects was in Afghanistan, where he helped women artisans, weavers, and farmers connect with global market. Beyond this professional work, he also an author, having written 3 books on philosophy of life. Welcome you, sir. We also have Mr. Ramasubramaniam Oruganti, is a sustainability and resilience consultant based in Chennai. He is the co-founder of Sustainable Livelihood Institute, where he trained 5,000 plus women entrepreneurs and 800 plus government officials. He is also a partner at Sequoia Samanvaya, working on climate resilience and sustainability. He is a speaker at SOCAP 24, along with other global forums, highlighting indigenous-led climate and conservation solutions. He has 25 years of working experience closely with People's Initiative and grassroots, policy making, development consulting, strategic management, and institution building. 8 plus years before that working for professional consulting firms in several domains of management. Welcome all the speakers on the dais for the vibrant topic yet again on global to rural, learning and technology from global to rural India. So my first question goes to the women in the platform first. Ma'am, how Indian startups can succeed?
Good morning, or I guess it's good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's a tremendous delight for me to be here. It was a coincidence that I'm here, but thank you to Uma and the others for inviting me. This is a topic very, very near and dear to my heart. I've worked on so many different things, but innovation, entrepreneurship is among the top for me. So before I get into answering your question, I do want to connect back to what was talked about in the last panel discussion. I truly believe that metrics and incentives drive behavior. So the conversation was, what can we do about plastic bags? And when we sell expensive items like expensive saris or other things, how do we get the customer to accept either a paper bag or something? So I think one thing that works that we've seen, at least in the US, is offer them an incentive. They can bring their own bag, and you take 5 rupees or whatever, minimum off of the total bill. That works. People do that in the stores in the US. And then the other thing is to say, maybe you don't give the incentive, but you say you bring your own bags. That's it. I know here they charge for plastic bags and cloth bags, but encourage them to bring their own bags. Yeah, I think that's one way to do it. But more importantly is to say, this is why we want to reduce waste. And so, either bring your own bags and incentivize them, we'll take whatever % off if you can afford it. But tying back to your topic about Indian startups, I think the opportunity here is tremendous, much more than any other part of the world. I read an interesting article in the BBC this week which talked about the Indian consumer market. So I would encourage you to go look it up online afterwards if you get a chance. Let me see if I can rattle off the numbers. It said the Indian consumer market is 130 million people. And the surprising thing in the article was that they said that the market is deepening, not widening. So let that sink in for a second. Deepening, not widening. So what that means is you've got more of the consumers at the upper end, the super luxury brands, or you've got, and you've got the growth in the very, very lower and basic products, which fits in with the rural message. So if we think back, I mean, today's conversation is talking about global to rural, so let's not talk about the luxury market, but if we talk about the rural, that's where the opportunities are, and we can do that. So tying back to how can startups be successful, the very first thing I would stress, and I've seen this repeatedly again and again, is think about the market need, really. Why are we starting the business? Who are we taking it to, and how big is that market? Because a lot of people will put some money into either designing something or making prototypes, and then they realize there's not enough money in it for them. And my experience is a lot of people put their life savings into it, and then it's a disaster because they've spent their life savings, there's not enough of a business opportunity, and they have to shut the business. So I would seriously say, look at market need as the first one. The second one, and this ties back to some of the conversations we had yesterday about the solar and the water, and it was a very dynamic conversation, is think about life cycle costs and value in use. Two key words that's not very commonly used. So if you think about life cycle costs, I think it was talked about a little bit this morning as well, which is you use this product may be expensive, but then after that you can reuse it, repurpose it, and so on. So explain that to the consumer in some way, and in your advertising or promotional material or whatever, so it's part of the awareness. So that's one. The other one ties back to our conversation. I think somebody brought it up yesterday. Why would I buy a e-battery car? Because I'm not getting much in it, or there's no engine and other things in it. So if you tie that one back to it, it's what is the value in use? So what is the value you're getting out of it? So it could be getting away from the car example. If it's going to, so the product you make, if it's going to help your customer, especially if it's a B2B customer, you're going to help them reduce their yield or their cycle time or something else, explain to them that you're actually helping them improve their business. And that will go a very, very long way. And that's not very commonly done. The third, but not least, that I would mention is when you work with the businesses or the entrepreneurs, have the conversation about their financial assets. This is a very tricky question, and I'll talk more later today, but one of the things I do in my very first meeting when I talk with entrepreneurs is to say, how are you able to handle your finances? Do you have enough savings to pay your monthly electricity bill, rent, and so on? And how many months money buffer do you have? And a lot of times, surprisingly or not, they will say, I can live for 3 months. And most businesses will not start up in 3 months. So then what happens is you have to have the conversation about how can you phase in, how can you do it in stages, and so on. And we can talk more about it in a little bit.
It's so true. So entrepreneurship journey or whatever we start is not whatever you wanted to start. So work on what's the problem, what is the problem we are solving, that you make it as a business and make it as a passion, so that works. So that's a good input for us, ma'am. So going to the second question, working 35,000 with 35,000 plus farmers in 12 states in India and building a brand like 24 Mantra, catering to Indian and global consumers since 20 years. It's nothing less than an achievement and a success story. So share us your journey and experience with us, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for this opportunity to be here and share whatever little I know or learned in this journey. So obviously in our business, organic, the farmer is the key stakeholder. Either if a farmer is not interested in organic, then there's nothing much for us to do. And I think we are talking about this journey from global to rural or rural to global. I think it's, in our case, it's very stark. So I think it's very important that the farmer whom we work with gets it right. Because if it doesn't happen right at the field level, then there's nothing much we can do. So I think for us, the way we do it is, one is make sure we select the right area. Because when you're trying to do organic, all areas are not suitable for organic because of various reasons. So in fact, I think Prince Charles started a project in Punjab, organic farming projects, and they were struggling, and a couple of times they invited me. It's challenging because the soils are degraded, and then farmers have a different kind of attitude, and it became very difficult, and the project was not very successful. So for us, the key is choosing the geography where we are likely to succeed. Second is choosing the right farmers, because I think in this attitude is very important, and if the farmer doesn't have the right attitude, we can't police enough. It's not possible, right? Then the third thing for us is, let's say, putting together the knowledge, the practices, so that when we go to a farmer and say, do this, then we are fairly sure that it's likely to succeed most of the time. That's the third component. And fourth is our people in the field, our own staff, our team members, they have to be very committed to this cause, because it's not an easy thing going and explaining someone to completely change from what he's doing. The first question he or she will ask is, are you sure that this can be done? Because it's ultimately, you have a 5 or 10 acre piece of land, and it is their livelihood. And if they fail, then the whole family is at risk. So I think that requires a lot of conviction, and that's what we are looking for in our people. And the other thing is getting the process right and making sure that it's rigorous, so that day in, day out, because we have a promise to fulfill to the consumer too. And we can't afford to fail on that. So of course, people are there and people are important, but at the same time, we have a very rigorous and then a good process to make sure that every time we procure from the farmer and then we process and then market to consumers, it fulfills the promise that it has got zero pesticides, zero residues, and it's a much better, more healthier product compared to what one is using. And so these are the things. So we kind of, for a period of time, standardized these things, and we have scaled up. Today, a lot of people ask, oh, you're working with so many farmers and then so much area. Can you actually control this? Can you really ensure that it's organic? I think it's been a huge learning experience. And today, I think we are in a position where, by and large, 99.9% of the time, we are able to assure that what we promise is what we give. So that's been the thing. And then on the other front, for us, we have kind of created a new category or a new industry kind of thing in India. We have been the pioneers, and we have to work on a lot of things. One is educating the farmers. Second is educating the consumers what is organic. When we started our first store in Hyderabad in Banjara Hills, the first day there were a lot of people who were excited. Second day there were few people. Third day onwards there were no people in the store. So it was very tough. I think we were paying kind of rental of more than ₹1 lakh, and we couldn't even generate the revenue to pay the rent. Forget about any other expenses. So I think, yeah, as entrepreneurs, we start with a lot of premises, but a lot of things don't work out. So we need to kind of stay the course. So I think second was the consumer thing. And third is we have to really work on the ecosystem, because every policymaker they would say, please don't talk about organic, you are actually compromising the food security of the country. And we have to grow to great lengths in saying that we are not really contributing to food insecurity, but food security. And it took us almost 10, 12 years to convince the scientific community, the policymakers, senior officers, to initiate a trial. And then they did these trials for 3 years, and they came back and said that it works in 99% of the cases, and most of the cases It's better than conventional, both from a farmer's income perspective, yield perspective. So, but it took us that long to do this. So, I guess when we are creating a new category, there are a lot of challenges, and we need to kind of address all stakeholders and then bring them together to move it forward.
If you have noticed, 24 Mantra is the first movers when it comes to organic food products, right? So we were just going through his profile in the morning, and one of my friend, what she was telling, it is not 35,000 farmers they're working with. They made these 35,000 farmers going from rural India to global. So it's not alone 24 Mantra. So that's the kind of work they're doing, but silently doing it. So you have set the road so clear to the upcoming entrepreneurs in the same line, sir. Thank you so much on that. So my next question is, training 6,200 plus companies in export strategy. So it means more or less you have worked across the domains, right? So please share us your experience on export strategy training which you are offering to entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Geeta, and thank you, Cowe, for inviting me today. So friends, there was a time when India was called Sone ki Chidiya, golden bird. The British had not come to India that time. Why were we called Sone ki Chidiya? 25% of the GDP of the world was Indian. Why were we called? Because we were exporting knowledge. It was a knowledge economy. What knowledge were we exporting? We were exporting spices. There was no engines in the ships. The boats used to go with sail. Wherever there is a wind, the boat will go. That's why it went to Middle East, it went to Africa, it went to Southeast Asia. And our entrepreneurs were carrying spices, not to sell the taste. We were selling the spices because we had the knowledge that which spice and which herb has what quality to impact human health. We were selling that knowledge. We were selling a fabric which was made on a handloom, which would pass through a ring, and it was in high demand. We were selling the knowledge of how to make that kind of a soft fabric. We are back to knowledge economy now. In between, we had industrial revolution, we had all these things happening. We are back to knowledge economy today. Geeta, you asked me about training. Take example. It used to take 10 years for multinational companies in the world to develop a drug, and we made a vaccine, COVID vaccine, in 1 year. It is an example of knowledge. And we gave it to 100 countries. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is one family. Not as a business. We donated, our government donated. This is an example of knowledge. Another example of knowledge is our IT industry. Last year, India's total export was $778 billion US dollar. Out of that, $341 billion was services. Services is knowledge. Out of that, 80% was IT services. So today in the whole world, as an Indian face, we are recognized as the IT industry of the world. We are running global economies. And so knowledge economy is coming back. Now the point is, as manufacturers, as traders, as service providers, are we using knowledge in our business? I'll give you a very quick, interesting example. Today the entire world economy is 112 trillion US dollar. Indian economy is 4 trillion. My point to all entrepreneurs is always, will you grow in a 4 trillion Indian economy, or will you grow in a 108 trillion economy which is outside India? So that is the export market. Out of that $112 trillion economy, $27 trillion is American economy, the largest. American government spending is $6.2 trillion. 25% more than total Indian economy is the American government spending. And that is why now there is a lot of movement to reduce it. However, $3 trillion of goods and services American government buys every year by importing. I am talking of imports, which is export for us. $3 trillion from around the world. You know, if you want to sell to American government and if you want to be a vendor, there is a free registration system which is under a portal called sam.gov. sam.gov. You have to register your product, it is free. 960 Indian companies are registered and 10,800 Chinese companies are registered. We don't even know. We are not aware about that knowledge. And this form has to be filled in English. Chinese don't know English. Britishers taught us English and they have left. Right? But we don't have this knowledge. But with that knowledge, imagine what impact it will do to our business. So it has always been my endeavor that I must educate our entrepreneurial community, because let me tell you one thing. The entrepreneurship which is in India, there is no match in the world. Nobody in the world can match Indian entrepreneurship. Today, the Chinese economy looks very strong because state is the center of Chinese economy. In India, entrepreneur, you people, you are the center of Indian economy. And that is more sustainable into the future. State is never sustainable. And we have seen what happened to USSR, how it has broken up. So, what we are on the path is a very, very sustainable path, and entrepreneur has to take that role and attach knowledge to your business. As much knowledge. I'll give you another very quick example. I have a student, I call them student, all my students are entrepreneurs. I have a student in Tirupur, near Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu. In Tirupur, t-shirts are manufactured. You can buy a t-shirt in wholesale for about 150 rupees if you buy 1 lakh t-shirt. Right? It is sold 700, 800 in retail. But it is a crowd. 2,500 companies are making t-shirt in Tirupur. My student, he said, I don't want to be part of the crowd. And today, in the earlier session, we were talking about innovation. Innovation is nothing but knowledge. It is a creative industry. And what my student has done, he made a t-shirt. If you wear that t-shirt in a cold environment, it will become warm. And if you wear in a warm environment, it will become cold. And that is knowledge. And that is innovation. And that is R&D. And they made themselves different from the crowd. They sell one t-shirt for 4,000 rupees. And there is a queue, Marks and Spencer, JC Penney, you name it, global companies. They order and they wait for 3 months to get the t-shirt. Right? So there are so many R&D, so many research and development, or your innovation which you attach to your product, or even in the process. That is the knowledge part which you should attach to business. That is my answer to what you said today. Thank you, Geeta.
So we completely agree, knowledge is power. So how we utilize it, when you utilize it matters a lot. But when we are entrepreneurs, learning should be a lifelong process, and make sure that it leads to you as successful entrepreneurs. So thank you so much, sir. So for my next question is to Ram Subramaniam. So tell us, what is TNRTP and your experience, and how it is adding value to women entrepreneurs? How are you giving back to the society? These are the couple of questions lined up. You can tell us in one shot.
Thank you. Andariki namaskaram. Thanks for inviting me. For those who don't know, TNRTP is a Tamil Nadu Rural Transformation Project where I represent the World Bank. It's one of the largest enterprise ecosystem development project in India. And it is rural women entrepreneur oriented ecosystem building program. Currently, we are working with more than 3 lakh women across the state of Tamil Nadu. And I head the component from the World Bank, which has been designing and implementing one of the largest rural skill development program. I was specifically asked to focus on that, so I wouldn't talk about some of the other things. But there are a few innovative practices that we have brought into this program that might be of some help or might ignite other ideas for people here. Talking about rural enterprise ecosystem building, particularly for women entrepreneurs, looking at local and global markets. But one point I do want to emphasize before that, and when we were all kids, we used to sing this song, "We Are the World." I mean, when we talk about global, one of the first points I think we need to recognize is we are the largest and fastest growing global market in the world. We need not necessarily have to look anywhere else. And just keeping in line with everybody has mentioned the previous session. So I also need to mention the previous session. There was a very interesting market research data that came out about a few months ago. On an average, an ethical and a sustainable product, what is the incentive different global markets are willing to pay additionally on top of regular market prices? And India is probably one of the highest incentive paying consumer market today. Compared to America, which pays about 11% incentive, Indian consumer market is willing to pay up to 20% incentive on sustainable and ethical products, which is one of the highest in the world. So sometimes we need to recognize that when we talk about global, it's not necessarily some faraway market, and because that requires a different kind of thinking and working out strategies. I mean, because we all know what happened. Sir mentioned about Tirupur, and Tirupur can withstand a supply chain breakdown like what happened during the COVID. Not everybody else can. That's something that we need to be prepared for. WHO said that every decade you please expect one more pandemic. That's what they said. So one has to be aware of it. Anyway, going back to the TNRTP story, the TNRTP story is just reaching to an end. One of the things that we did during COVID was the Tamil Nadu government recognized that there were a lot of people who were getting sent back to the village from large industries when the supply chains crashed. We, from the World Bank, we worked closely with the government at the time to look at are there bankable ideas with some of these people. We designed a financial instrument to give a soft loan for the young people, help them to create a business plan, and this created nearly 4,800 enterprises. During COVID, when everybody was losing jobs, we created enterprises. We looked at COVID as an opportunity. We said, people are coming back home. Do they have skills? Is it bankable? Does it have a local relevance in the market? Okay, create a business plan around it, invest money into it, create jobs in the local areas. It is one of the few schemes that actually created jobs and launched new enterprises during COVID. Second innovation that we did was a community skills school. One of the biggest challenges the government of India is facing today is we are investing DDU-GKY kind of schemes, invest anywhere between 50,000 to about 1 lakh on every individual for skill development, even at the entry level, towards creating employable skills. And most often than not, our attrition rates are high, we are unable to find jobs, and we are not able to place these people. We broke this by working on an organic, in fact, in the earlier session, I think it was Mr. Singh who mentioned, anything that works with a cultural thing will have a better market. So we said, okay, are there local skill sets that there are practitioners who can teach local skill sets? We identified practitioners. Then we said, are there local youth who can gain by doing apprenticeship in this workplace? And is this particular skill required on the local market? We went through a community process where the communities identified marketable skills that are required in the vicinity. And we created something called the Community Skills School, where we spent just about 5,000 rupees because we are working on an apprenticeship model that happens organically anyway in a village setup. So we formulated it we help the local practitioner to design the curriculum, formalizing the curriculum, getting the rigor of a typical training program for it, was the support that the government lent to them, along with the investment on it. What we found was phenomenal. We call it the Community Skills School, which is probably the per capita, I would call it the lowest cost per capita skill development program that the country has run today. And in the last 3 years, we have trained more than 52,000 youth right now through the Community Skills School. But 3 things happened as an outcome. 1, majority of them got employment locally or through the trainer himself. Many of the trainers expanded. Clearly, nearly 1,000 people got employed with the trainers themselves. Second, they created enterprises. We provided them with startup funds and even scaling up funds. Somebody who came back during COVID and started a small organic retail came back to us with a 20 lakh loan and started a bigger unit. And then subsequently came back for what we call a matching grant program, which is one of the kind of a hybrid program that and financial instrument that we have created, through which we help the banks to identify bankable projects and give them funds. So the reason I mention that is the Community Skills School, which created jobs and enterprises locally, has now become a global success model. World Bank recently featured it on its global website, saying this is one of the most successful skill development models in the world. And this is run right here in Tamil Nadu. We have a similar program on the farm side called the Community Farm School, which is adapting the same method, but looking at the farm. And we have trained about 160,000 rural women. And the best part of it is majority of these people are women. So today we have in Tamil Nadu rural women run enterprises that are doing anything from photography to production to drones, and you name it, they are doing it. We even have construction laborers, construction gang that is run by women, and people who are doing many kind of mechanical and electrical activities also. So what I wanted to share is that there is a booming market in rural India. And if you look at that market as something where you can bring in skill sets, and it's not just the local market. One of the areas we worked on, train these women, is on natural fiber. IKEA, for instance, declared about a few years ago that by 2025, this year, before the end of this year, they'll replace all their plastic products, baskets, with natural fiber products. That's a $100 million market, right? And we have the largest fiber being wasted as an agricultural produce. We've waste fiber. So we took the banana fiber, we trained the local women. Today we have 5 units across Tamil Nadu that are working on banana fiber-based products, and they're supplying to IKEA. And we are not able to meet the market. We are just tapping into the very beginning of this market. So when eco-friendly products take center stage, believe me, India would be right there up front. If we invest, like the previous speakers also said, we invest on green skills, I think we are right there. We are going to be leaders in that, there is no doubt about it. And TNRTP has just shown a small example in one state. And just to add one last point, the Community Skills School got scaled up. Initially, we were implementing it in about 125 blocks in the state with the World Bank funding. Last year, government of Tamil Nadu took a decision to scale it up across the state. Now the entire state is saturated with Community Skills Schools, and it has created a phenomenal amount of impact in terms of entrepreneurship in the rural landscape. I'll just stop there.
So, if people like him, if they're working on a grassroots level, so we can move the stones and the mountains when it comes to entrepreneurship. So great work on that part, sir. So when I was talking to, coming back to Usha ma'am, I was talking to her yesterday. We were just going through her profile. I was telling her, ma'am, you have already mentored entrepreneurs from India and also the US. So you have seen entrepreneurs' mindset from both the perspective, right? So what is the standard being set from each zones? So I love the word what she mentioned. Okay, so people like her, if she's sharing that kind of an experience, what is a mindset as an entrepreneur you need to have it to scale your business from local to global market, the other way as well. So I think we should hear it from you, ma'am. So what is that gap you have seen, and what is that your point that you wanted to drive it to all our audience today?
Thank you. Happy to talk about it. I loved hearing what Urungati, I guess, okay, that you were talking about skills and the export market as well. We talked a little bit at the break. So let me build on that a little bit. So the organization, let me start actually from the organization I work with. So it's a national nonprofit. We're actually, I think, now on the 62nd year. It's been more than 60 years. So it's very similar to Cowe, sorry. But there are some very distinct differences as well. So I think that might help you a little bit. So let me elaborate on that. So this organization was formed actually by retirees 60-some years ago, people with business experience, and this was their way of giving back to the community. So it's an entirely volunteer-based organization. So nobody gets paid. There's some staff there's probably 10 staff at the corporate level who manage the IT website and things like that. And we work closely with the Small Business Administration. So we get a little funding from them, but most of our work is done free to all the entrepreneurs and clients that we work with. And we work with people in the rural areas as well as the urban areas, nationwide. So when you talk about the rural areas, we work with farmers, other people who do very small arts and crafts kinds of things at the rural area. And one of the things we found is that a lot of them have very creative ideas. They want to start a business, but they don't really know how to scale it up. So the first thing we did was we started a workshop which was called You Have an Idea, What Next? So we would teach a 1-hour basic workshop just to help them think about how do you go from what you have as an idea and then what are some next steps you need to know at a very high level, because we don't want to scare them off. So then we get them to sign up for the next level, which would be, okay, what does it take to be an entrepreneur? And some of the people get scared off by that because it's a very, very difficult process. It's 24/7, there's no vacations, you have to work all the time, success doesn't come very quickly, and so on. So we kind of take them through it. And then we teach them basic modules on what is the marketing module, what is the business financial modules, what is the difference between revenue and income and profitability. Because a lot of businesses think that I sold so many units at this price, so I made a lot of money and it's revenue. But then what they sometimes don't realize is that they're actually losing money because their expenses are much more. And so we sort of teach them that and walk them through it. Another important point is that a lot of them need money, especially if it is a product that they have to make, and they have to buy the raw material and keep an inventory. So we teach them on how to manage your inventory so you don't have too much stock that you've bought ahead of time if you don't yet need it. And then we work with them on how to develop financial spreadsheets. So this is a little bit of a challenge because many of them certainly do not know Excel or any of those skills to be able to do it. But if they have to go to a bank for a loan, they have to be able to show the financials to get the loan. So what's happened is, because we've been doing this for 60-some years, if they go to the bank and they say that they're working with one of us as a mentors, there's a greater chance their loan will get approved. So they actually like that. We also work with other organizations that are providing grants to entrepreneurs. So difference between grant and loan, I guess most of you would know this, but people like the grants even though it's smaller amounts of money, because then you don't have to pay it back. But then there's a very long application process. Why do you deserve the grant? What are you going to do with it? So we work with the entrepreneurs to actually help them fill out the grant application. So the way the organization works, we are assigned a client and we work with them for the life of their business. So they can use us as consultants, mentors, coaches, whatever, for 10 years, 20 years, whatever they want. As long as they want, no strings attached, completely free to them and to us. All the workshops are free. And so in the process, we also do Net Promoter Score. I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with it. It's a survey that's done of the clients by Price Waterhouse at the end of every year to see how satisfied are the clients and the entrepreneurs that we're mentoring. And they've come out and said, at least the results have shown that if a entrepreneur receives more than 3 hours of mentoring, they're reporting higher revenues and higher business growth. So the numbers are there. In fact, I got, let me just share this one because this one just came out recently. So over the last year, we've helped develop 30,000 new businesses, 120,000, that would be 120,000, non-owner jobs that have been created across the country, 150,000 total jobs. We've run 3 lakh, I have to convert it to lakhs here, it's all in 100,000s, 3 lakh mentoring sessions, 5 lakh workshop attendees. And the other point I do want to say, thank you. The other point I do want to say that's very important, we could not do this without the support of the local organizations. So I would say for the most part, people do not view it as competitive. So we work with incubators, we work with the Small Business Development Corporation. I guess that would be like your SIDBI, I think, similar to that, as well as other organizations that are coaching entrepreneurs, but then they charge. So at the same time, if they want some additional training, we help them with that also. The interesting thing for me particularly was that in every state, now I'm connecting back to Indian history from my high school days. So like the Rajya Sabha, we have 2 senators from every state in the country. And so in our state, I and my team worked very, very closely with our 2 senators. So these would be our representatives at the Rajya Sabha. And so they are very supportive of the work we do. So there's no money exchange. But at the same time, it gives the client a visibility where, the representative will want to meet with 2 or 3 clients every year, talk about the work they're doing, especially if it's sustainable or something new and different. And then at the same time, if there are some permits and things that we need permissions on, and we're not able to get it through the process very quickly, the senators are able to help us push it through. So it kind of works both ways. But the other thing that we also did was work with the legislative body to enhance legislation that supports entrepreneurs. So there's a lot of things like that we do working with the local organizations. And so far, I don't think anyone has seen it as, you're doing it, so I shouldn't do it, or, being competitive or holding it back. That collaboration has been fabulous. And I could talk about this forever, but I should give it back to you.
So it's always identify the gap, and it's need not to be that we master it, right? So we understand, we learn and implement, that's more than enough. And there are many organizations like Cowe as well to support entrepreneurs to be successful. So thank you so much for the work which has been done, ma'am, on that. So my next question is to Mr. Rajseelam, sir. So what's the skill set an entrepreneur should learn or adopt to grow his business in multiple X?
I think as entrepreneurs, all of us face challenges, and most people would have failed before they succeeded. So this is my 3rd business. Of course, I worked after passing out, doing my MBA. I worked for about 12 years. Then I started off on my own. My first company was in 2000. So we're primarily working on a third-party customer service portal. So we developed the application. We were able to launch. And then the .com burst happened. For people perhaps a little older who understand this. And then we pivoted to doing software services. Then the 9/11 happened, so the business never took off. And whatever we are supposed to get paid, we never got paid. So I think the first business failed. The second was more opportunistic, light engineering business with a German partner. But 2 years into the business, I realized that this would perhaps, because it was a lot of related to government, I realized that it may not take off. So I convinced my partners to sell out, and we are the only guys who made money in the business. So as entrepreneurs, we should also know when to get in and when to get out. Because obviously, I think every business I got in, I never got in saying that I need to make money and get out. It was always to build into something big. But then sometimes circumstances don't support, and then we should be able to move on in life. And then, of course, this organic business, has been there in my mind since 1992. So it was kind of incubated for 12 years in the mind, and then finally 2004 when I had some money, I said, let me live my own dream. So a lot of learnings. One is, I think we always think that we need to move fast, otherwise someone else will take the opportunity or market will move on, etc. What I realized is perhaps technology businesses are different, where technology is changing very different, changing rapidly. But a lot of product businesses or brick and mortar businesses, I think it's a long game. You need to kind of dig in for the long haul and not be worried saying that, okay, someone is going to overtake me quickly, kind of thing. So that's one thing I think which all of us have to be conscious about. Second is get the product market fit right. And then this is not going to, very rarely it's going to happen on day one. It's going to take a few iterations for you to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And then always I think when I got into business, an old entrepreneur told me saying that you need to at least give 1,000 days to a business before you give it up. That's when you realize you'd have gone through a lot of cycles, realize whether it works or not. So when you start a business, you have to say that, can I sustain this for at least 1,000 days? That's very important. And third is you have to be very frugal. Today, of course, a lot of money is available and then it gets thrown, this thing, but a lot of times it's not sustainable. So you need to be very frugal. How do you stretch every rupee of your money? In fact, today I see businesses, particularly FMCG businesses, where they lose 100 crores and their revenue is 70 crores. Whereas perhaps we would have lost 100 crores in 20 years and then built a 400-500 crore kind of business. So I think it's very important to be frugal and then ideally always keep your head above water, because once you get into losses, of course initially losses might be there, but then I think it can't be, you can't have it for a long time. Then you are forced to make a lot of decisions which may not be optimal. So I think there's the other important piece. And what happens is products change, markets change, consumers' attitudes change. So you should also be able to, let's say, little bit see ahead and if required pivot the business. In our case, we initially started as a retail stores kind of thing. Then we quickly realized that retail in India, particularly physical retail in India, is not very viable. Even today, there are not many stores which actually make money. So we quickly, in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, we realized that it doesn't work. So then we moved to a product company. So I think we need to be ready to pivot at different stages, different thing. It need not be completely different, but it could be a variation of what you're doing. So that's another important thing to be successful. And the other thing is, at some point, you will require some money, external money. So it's very important to choose right investors. Whether it is individual investors, institutional investors, they should be aligned with what you're doing. They should be understanding. And they should also know that businesses can go through tough situations and should be supportive in those kind of circumstances. And then the other important piece is ultimately people, because if you have the right people, then it's easy to withstand adversities, and then right people also make a difference in terms of coming up with ideas and then solving problems. So for us, we have been very particular. In fact, for many years, I would interview each and every candidate, and for every 10 candidates, we'd perhaps select one. And that's kind of stood us in good stead, because today most of our senior and middle management, they have been there with the company for 10 years, 15 years, or since inception. And that kind of reduces a lot of burden on you so that you can focus on more and more or other things or futuristic things. So I guess these are some of the learnings which I have gone through, and hope it makes sense to many of you. Thank you.
So quickly to Dr. Jagat Shah. So the same question to be repeated. What's the technology adoption you suggest for entrepreneurs who wants to focus on export?
Thank you, Geeta. So let me ask here, how many of you are into manufacturing? Okay, and how many of you into trading? And how many of you into service sector? Okay. How many of you come from villages? Okay, interesting. How many of you are exporting? Okay, very few. So let me tell you, we have 630,000 villages in India. 62% of our population even now lives in India, in villages. Right? We are talking of a Viksit Bharat, a developed country by 2047. There is no question about achieving it without our villages becoming strong and prosperous. There is a villager, I am from Gujarat, there is a villager in Rajkot who is exporting goat dung. Goat dung. Bakri ki lindi, we say it in Gujarati. Goat dung. And he is exporting to US. He is exporting to a multinational company which is listed in the New York Stock Exchange, which sells one box of goat dung for $3. And it is used as a manure for the rose plant. His export is 6.5 to 7 crore rupees a year. And this person doesn't know English, and this person is not literate, and this person doesn't know computer. So when I was talking to him, he said, look, I know my weakness. I countered my weakness by hiring people who are covering up my weakness, who knows English, who know digital. And today we are talking post-COVID about work from home model and remote working. 2012 he was doing that. Because he said, that's my weakness, and I am not able to get that type of people in villages. And from 2012 he is selling his products on e-commerce. So you mentioned about technology use. So many a times we feel, oh, I am from village, I don't know English, I don't know digital technology, I don't know e-commerce. E-commerce is not an IT business. E-commerce is a logistics business. You set up the framework only once, IT. Every day you have to deliver. Do you have the delivery in place? That is something which you have to work on. And there are tools today with AI, ML coming into the play. How many of you, let me ask how many of you are on LinkedIn? Right? Very, very encouraging. LinkedIn is the Instagram of professionals. Everybody who is a professional in the world, I mean business or in the service sector are on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very powerful tool to connect to businesses around the world. And there is a tool of LinkedIn called Sales Navigator, which is even more powerful. Now, I'll encourage all of you to go and study and take a free demo of Apollo. There is a tool of AI called Apollo.io. What it does, it is automated your marketing outreach, particularly for export. You just put up your brochures, your product picture, your website into Apollo and say, please draft a letter for me to be written to an American importer. In 10 seconds, it will draft a letter which you cannot write by taking all your data from all the information you have taken. And then you integrate it to your email and give it a prompt that please identify people. Also there are filters, you can identify people who are your targeted buyers for that product through Apollo. And you give a prompt that please send this email to them. It will send them email from your email ID, it won't go to the spam. And then there is a sequence which you can set up 3-day reminder, 7-day reminder. It has got a phone number which they give it for you for free American phone, an American phone number. And you can make calls from that. 2,000 minutes calls you can, and what is the cost of doing this? $49 a month. $49 a month. That is like how much? 5,000 rupees. For 5,000 rupees you are getting a sales executive in a village. We have 100 crore mobile smartphone user in India now. Every villager today, most of the villagers have smartphones, and particularly the youngsters in their family. So when I say digital technology, when you are saying about technology, it's not just limited to cities and towns. We can actually take this to village level. That is where we have to create that empowerment and education. And I will give another example. I saw Cowe Jaipur team, Rajasthan team here today. There is a company in Rajasthan, Sunrise Agriland. During pandemic, Middle East countries were scared that what if India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, who are supplying fruit, vegetable and food grain to Middle East, if they stop exporting, what will we eat? Because Middle East is desert, they don't grow any agriculture. They appointed Kellogg's, which is an American company. They have a level 5 lab in California, food lab. And they said, give us a report that very quickly in 3 months, doesn't matter how much money you want, that what can we grow fast in desert. And they gave many recommendations. One of the recommendation was from 5 western states of India, the indigenous cow dung has such qualities that your agriculture in desert can become faster. And this company in Jaipur, Sunrise Agriland, they exported 900 metric ton of cow dung to Middle East. Today they are in such a situation where they are saying that I am facing difficulty to source, I don't have product to supply. The quantity is a challenge. And this is also from a remote place. So, and they are using technology. They are using technology to find out these buyers. And from village. Because see, first time it has happened perhaps in India that now geography is no more a limitation to take your business global. Yeah. Earlier we used to say Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, Chennai, Hyderabad, these cities have exposure. Now no more. It can be done from anywhere. Thank you.
Such a profound conversation you shared to us. So there is no border when it comes to entrepreneurs, right? So do what you know the best and rest you hire, right? So that's a message. That's a strong message. At least myself, I'll be carrying it, Mr. Shah. Thank you so much. So my last question to Mr. Ram is, Ram, you are a grassroots level operator. Means you're training people from the grassroots level, right? So what is that your message for when it comes to technology adoption for rural women?
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't qualify myself as a grassroots worker as such because I work with policy to grassroots all levels and grassroots across multiple geographies, like what sir said. Because I train women in South America and North America as well as here. So I would, yeah, in terms of technology, one thing is that I just want to cite something. It was one of the largest ever studies done on communities of India. It's called the People of India Project. Some of you might know, people who studied anthropology. It was done by the Anthropology Survey of India. It comes in 72 volumes. And in the executive summary, there is something that is mentioned. It says every community in India has about, on an average, about 5.3 different types of skill sets, out of which about 3.8 is newly evolved skill and about 1.3 is what is traditional skills. It's not as though we struggle with learning about technology. And I was involved in setting up one of the earliest rural internet centers way back in 2000 along with IIT Madras when we were doing piloting wireless local loop using internet in villages. People adapt very fast to technology in this country and many times we don't even know. For instance, all these kids who are operating heavy earth movers in the roads and construction workers, who trains them? And it's learned through apprenticeship model, like I mentioned earlier. That's what we use successfully in a government program earlier. But few points that I would like to emphasize is always remember that the village level entrepreneur or any skilled worker evaluates adapting a technology is different from learning the skills. Everybody may learn the skills, but they will only adapt it in their business if there is if they want to spend 1 rupee, they have to get a 2 rupee returns. If there is no return, nobody is going to adapt a technology. That's why several government programs, well-intentioned programs, which include putting technology in villages, end up being a failure after a point in time. And we have a graveyard of machinery that is lying all over India in villages, which is primarily because people don't waste time. One of the things that I have noticed is that rural entrepreneurs, particularly women entrepreneurs, they would like to know where their market is. There is a visible need to identify where is the market. Two, traditions are important, but people are learning and adapting, changing things all the time. But three, maintainability of technology is very important. That which cannot be repaired or maintained locally is doomed to fail. Because those technologies which cannot be maintained locally by serviced locally or at a lower cost, introducing those technologies in a rural enterprise setup creates further challenges. I can cite many examples in terms of processing, food processing, or other types of technologies that have been introduced at different points in time. Sometimes we get carried away in our policy interventions, and we want to invest in a hurry, so we end up putting these and then say, okay, fine, now you work on the working capital, etc. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, these are some of the ideas that, I mean, there is a lot more one could say, but I know that you already got a chit and you need to wind up soon. So I would rather wrap up now, but I'm more than happy if anyone wants to ask a question, or later on we can interact or something. Thank you.
So, yes. So before we wrap up, I just wanted from all the four panelists, if at all we are closing the session of today, so what is that one message for an entrepreneur? I completely understand there is no border. At the same time, we are earning from our businesses, we are earning in rupees. So how do we focus on earning in dollars and the euros? And how mindful we need to be when it comes to entrepreneurship journey, what we are choosing, because it's a choice which we have taken, right? So if you can just give us one thought process or one point to take it home from today's session, if you can close it in 30 seconds.
Sure, that's an easy question, I think. So first off, I think people are a country's biggest asset. I truly believe that. And anybody can be a successful entrepreneur. So whether it's somebody who's 5 years old, the youngest entrepreneur I've worked with is about 6 years old. And we had this conversation with Aditya, right, earlier today. So tap into any age individual around you who's got the ideas. Doesn't matter, put your pride aside. If you don't know how to do Facebook, tap a 10, 12-year-old who can help you with it, and certainly can do it in the rural areas. With that, let me add two other things, which is, why would somebody want to buy my product? That's the question I think most people miss. There's so many products out there, why will they choose me? And if it's a service business, what am I doing extra that's value adding?
I guess there are a lot of opportunities, particularly the Indian economy itself is growing so fast. And of course, we always talk about exports. But I think there's also a huge domestic opportunity. I think not many of us realize that we have many, many countries put together. So a lot of people, a lot of other countries, smaller countries, people have to necessarily look for export markets because their own markets are small. So this market is huge. Having said that, exports is, like he said, it's a 107 trillion economy outside, so there are enough opportunities. But I think one learning for us has been, one is you have to get the quality right, your supply chain right, and for that, it's very important domestic market becomes your, let's say, proving ground. I'm sure if you're successful here with quality products, with a good supply chain, consistent supply chain, it's much more easier to tackle export markets.
So, thank you so much. If we can quickly wrap it up.
Yeah. So I will leave you with the definition of competitiveness. Everything which we are talking is about competitiveness. 4 elements. Efficiently create goods and services, which is about innovation, which meet global market demand, which leads to rising living standard for everybody in the society, and which is sustainable into the future. Just think, are these 4 elements in your business? If it is there, you are a competitive company, and you will be extremely successful not only in Indian, but in global markets. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not going to take more time. I just want to mention, particularly there are a lot of people in the service sector here. The only thing I would say that could be a differentiator moving forward is do what machines cannot do. You'll all be replaced. And what machines cannot do is be more human. Genuinely care, communicate the care. And that machines can never do. Keep that in mind, and that's a success story for you.
So, yeah.
Can I add one short thing? I think this is an important one that I should have mentioned earlier. We're talking about people here, and I think this is a place where Cowe can really play a big role, especially in rural areas. Identify people with disabilities, people who might be deaf, dumb, blind, any other disability they may have. They have tremendous creative potential. Let's think about how we can tap those as well and give them the support they need.
So thank you so much, and great inputs we had across the questions what is being asked. With this, we come to the end of this session. So I hand it over to, before that, definitely gratitude to all the 4 eminent speakers here. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and inputs at the same time. With this, I'll hand it over to Josna. So I request, please, Nidhi, a token of appreciation or love from our side, from Cowe, India, to Mr. Shah. Thank you so much. So it's a token of appreciation and love from our side to Ms. Usha.
यार बैंक लोन तो अटका पड़ा है, बिजनेस प्लान ड्रॉप करना पड़ेगा। मैदान छोड़कर भाग रही है।
So it's our gratitude and love from our Cowe, India, to Mr. Shilam Rajshekhar Reddy.
11 की है, तेरी 2.5 लाख की होगी।
कैसे?
Switch to SBI. इनकी 2.5 लाख लोगों की टीम और उनका डिजिटल प्रोसेस देता है आपको लोन अप्रूवल इंस्टेंट। SBI, supporting India, supported by.
So, to Mr. Dr.
Every
Jagat Shah.
entrepreneur has a journey, a story of passion, resilience, and innovation. And today, we celebrate one such visionary. Hello, I'm Leena Sangvi, an entrepreneur on a mission to transform the digital landscape for businesses. With a deep-rooted passion for technology and a holistic approach to women empowerment,
To
my
our
journey began in the
entrepreneur,
corporate world, working with public limited enterprises on tech automation. But after marriage, my entrepreneurial spirit led me to build something of my own. A software company designed to
So we
empower
also have
businesses through automation. We launched CRM, ERP, and e-commerce solutions under our very own HOffice.
Madhu ma'am, can we have a token of appreciation and love to Mr. Ram as well?
10 plus modules and 150 plus plugins.
Okay.
Catering
So
to
thank you so
over
much.
50
Can we have
plus
a photograph?
exhibition, allowing participants to register instantly with a clickable mobile link and 24/7 payment gateway. It is an honor to receive the Cowe Core Service Sector Award 2023-24 at the Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi, standing alongside inspiring leaders and change makers. My dream is to provide end-to-end automation to my fellow women powerhouses, helping them exhibit their skills, scale their businesses, and contribute to India's ambitious 3 trillion economy. Together, let's build up the future of digital entrepreneurship. Wishing all the success to WISE 2025. Elevate your business with B2B and global opportunities. Thank you.